Joining me now to discuss it all, CBS News senior political editor Steve Chaggaris and CBSN political contributor and Democratic strategist and former advisor to Tim Kaine, Lynda Tran. Thank you both for joining us. You were in the hall last night. I'm curious, it was really what everyone's calling the most important speech for Hillary Clinton's life. I want to start with you. Steve, let's kick it off with you. How do you think she did overall?
Well, the crowd seemed to like it. There were a couple of moments of, smattering of Sanders folks yelling things out. But overall, in the arena, it seemed as if the crowd was happy. We'll see how voters react to it. I mean, she set this election up as a moment of reckoning, tried to contrast Donald Trump basically calling it midnight in America as compared to Reagan's morning in America, and set it up as a fight between fear of a Donald Trump presidency versus the fear that Trump is putting out there, which is national security, the economy not doing so well in this country, and I think it's going to be a fear versus fear election. That's what this has been set up as.
What do you think, Lynda?
I mean, I think Hillary Clinton had a tall order last night that she needed to deliver on. She wasn't speaking to the people in the convention hall, many of whom actually have known her over the years, given her many decades of work within the Democratic Party. But she was speaking to the millions of voters at home who she wanted to share a side of her that they might not have known about. They know the Hillary Clinton name, but they needed to know more about who she is and why she got into public service in the first place. And I think she did a great job of that. The other thing that we know that she needed to accomplish was to showcase the softer side of her while also whipping up the troops, because at the end of the day, this isn't going to be about persuading people as much this cycle as it is going to be about turning out her own supporters. And when she said this line, you know, I've always been more comfortable with the service piece than the public piece of public service. I think that was a revealing moment that probably pulled people in across the country, and I think that was a powerful moment for her.
And you know, Lynda, she also made a direct appeal to Bernie Sanders supporters at the very beginning of her remarks. Let's take a listen to that.
I want to thank Bernie Sanders. And to all of your supporters here and around the country, I want you to know, I've heard you. Your cause is our cause. Our country needs your ideas, energy, and passion. That is the only way we can turn our progressive platform into real change for America. We wrote it together. Now let's go out and make it happen together.
Lynda, leading up to the convention, I kept hearing, oh, these Bernie Sanders supporters are coming over to Hillary's side. You don't have to worry. But we saw just how many people are still skeptical and undecided of those Bernie supporters. Do you think she won them over?
Well, we saw how many people within the convention hall who supported Bernie Sanders were not convinced. And of course, they were some of the most vocal people in the room. Throughout the course of the convention, we kicked it off with some protests that were scattered across the convention hall. But throughout the week, what we saw was that people started to come over. And there's no question that by the time Hillary Clinton was standing up at the podium last night, there was incredible Democratic unity all across the room and hopefully all across the country. Look, there are always going to be people who have, dedicated their heart and soul to Bernie Sanders, and in particular, given the stakes during the Democratic primary, it was deeply personal. Those people may never come over to Hillary Clinton, but all the polls show us and the experience throughout the week show us that the majority of Bernie Sanders supporters are getting behind Hillary Clinton and are going to be supporting her in November.
And Steve, pivoting to Donald Trump, we know that she also went right after him, at one point saying that a man you can bait with a tweet can't be trusted with nuclear codes. What do you make of that? Does that attack line work?
Well, she's reaching out to independents, to disaffected Republicans, and really trying to solidify the Democratic base to be enthusiastic and energized to vote against this guy. I mean, I think this is setting up to be an election in which you have two somewhat unlikable, well, mainly unlikable candidates, and so they're going to be going after each other hard. You heard last week at the Trump convention him really slamming Hillary Clinton and a lot of the speakers going after her as well. This is a referendum on these two candidates, Trump versus Clinton. She referred to him as a bully. She called him a clown. She says he's completely unfit to be president of the United States. That's the argument that she's going to take to the American people. She's going to try to convince the American people that basically he just can't do the job. He's the wrong person for the job.
And we know, Steve, that Lynda Clinton is going to be at a rally this afternoon with Tim Kaine in Philadelphia. And then after that, they head on a bus tour through the Midwest. What's the strategy, and how much of a help do you think Tim Kaine can be with those moderate or more conservative-leaning voters in states like Pennsylvania and Ohio?
You know, I think that the bus tour is going to be a little bit of a continuation of an introduction to Tim Kaine to so many voters around the country who may not know who he is. In Virginia, he's been very popular, and we saw that when he was addressing Virginians, they were very excited about it. Similarly, when she announced him in Miami, he was able to kind of light up the crowd there. And the hope would be, especially as he's hitting these battleground states and places that we know are going to be critical to deciding who ends up in the Oval Office this fall, hopefully he's going to be able to support her with some energy there as well. The other factor about Tim Kaine is that over the course of his now a couple decades long career as well, he's never lost a campaign, and he's also somebody who really appeals to independents and in particular white male voters, which might be an opening for them in the coming weeks and months as well.
I think one of the main things, too, that she's going to do on this trip is really, I think it's less about Kaine and it's more about making the argument about the economy. These are states that especially white voters don't feel the economy has recovered to their liking or to affect them directly. These are states where they feel that Donald Trump is going to do a better job in dealing with the economy. So she's going to make the case as she goes through these Rust Belt states that she can deal with the economy better than Trump.
Steve Chaggaris and Lynda Tran, thank you both.